Hello, and welcome back to the Fearless and Fabulous podcast. This is the space of stories of women who thrive no matter their age or size. And I've got another fabulous queen on today. It's my first one from the state of Iowa. I'm hoping I can reach all 50 states at some point. That'd be amazing. And I have here the fabulous Miss Amber. Say hi, Amber.
Hi, I'm Amber Martenson, and I'm currently Royal International Miss Central Iowa role model.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's long.
Anyone who is not in pageantry can maybe is not aware of how difficult it can be to say our full titles. It takes a skill. So hats off to you. I wanted to welcome Amber especially because she and we got to know each other online initially. We both were coached by the fabulous Maria, the pageant gal, and we started working together through a coaching package, and then we finally met in real life this last January, which was fabulous. We were finally able to like, hey, you're a real person. So
Yeah,
I'm so glad you're able to be on my podcast today.
yeah, I'm really excited. I remember we were like, oh, you were we were at the thing in January, the Best in Pageantry Awards, and you were like, oh, I can't believe I haven't interviewed yet, you yet. And I was like, yeah, I just haven't been asked. It's fine.
But it's like I said, I'm just like, girl, you could have been like, hey, hello. But I'm just glad we're finally hooking up here. And just tell us a bit about, I always like to start here, especially with my pageant queens, is what got you into pageantry in the first place?
Yeah, so I started, I think back in 2020, um, like perfect timing, right when COVID hit. And I started because I knew a girl who actually competed in high school with the system. And it was a scholarship and like academic system. And so I was like, it's not a real pageant. It's okay. I can do it because it's about academics and scholarship. It was a real pageant, but so I didn't do it very, I didn't do good or anything, but uh, then I was like, oh, I really want to do more. And so I started searching, and Iowa like has no pageants. So I had this one system that was like, oh, we're hosting a state pageant in Iowa. And it was Royal International Miss. So I was like, oh, I'll join. And then I went to my first internationals after that in the summer, and I was like, I need to come back. So ever since then, I have been competing with Royal International Miss pretty exclusively since 2021. So this was my fifth year going back.
Wow. So what is it that keeps you going back? Because I know for a lot of women, they just kind of get, it's almost like you get bitten by the bug and there's just something about it. So what was it for you that made you want to keep going back?
Yeah, so I honestly just love the atmosphere. It's like I like to be busy and it's a busy week. And I think that's something that really excites me about it is it's like constant, nonstop. And I don't have really time to be nervous or overthink of anything because I'm always moving. Um, but people there are so real and so nice. There's so many different age groups of people. So I see lots of little kids and older women as well to talk about people from different countries. So there's so much to experience. I see people from the UK, from Australia, um, every year that I've gone. So that's really one of my favorite parts.
That's amazing. It is one of the best parts in pageantry is the amount and the diversity of women who you meet. And I think there's something about what's the thing about pageantry, which I can relate to being in theater, is that once you've made that connection in pageantry, it never really goes away. It's like you always have that bond because everyone can understand what you just went through.
Mhm.
And I'm curious for you, what's something that's, more behind the scenes that maybe most people aren't aware of when it comes to preparing for a pageant?
I would definitely just say keeping like consistent posting on social media. I know that's something that people see, but like it takes a lot of work to run a social
Hmm.
media account and like keep it constantly going and growing. And I think that's something that I really learned within the last year or 2 years, I guess. My biggest growth, I would say, was because of my use of social media and like actually getting into my platform and sharing more about it and sharing more about myself. And people don't really understand how important social media is to pageantry still. And I think that people need to catch on because social media is really important for pageantry. And I don't see a lot of pageant girls like fully posting on social media like us pageant gals do. So um, I just want people to start doing that more.
Yeah, it is something that's definitely grown a lot. And there are definitely, pitfalls to it too. Have you found any downsides of being on social media quite a bit as a pageant queen?
I I haven't had any personally. I besides the fact that it gets draining to have to constantly come up with content sometimes. But when you're posting about things you really like, then it doesn't have to be like that. So sometimes it gets a little stressful having to think of some things that you need to post. But otherwise, I truthfully in pageantry have not experienced any negativity. And I think that's because also with the system I'm in, I don't feel like I'm necessarily put in the position where I could have that negative spotlight. So I'm really thankful for that.
That's good. I'm thankful as well. I've not encountered any negativity on my accounts either. So knock on wood, whatever my desk is made
Mhm.
out of. But I know that's not always true for several women in pageantry. And one of the things I want to touch on with you, Amber, is the fact that you and I are both curvier women in
Mhm.
pageantry. And do you think that curvy women are getting enough representation in the world of pageantry? Do you think that we are welcome into it, or is it still kind of a work in progress, in your opinion?
Oh, it's still a work in progress. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we definitely are underrepresented. I'm so grateful that there are people of so many different cultures starting to join pageantry and being accepted into pageantry. Um, and even plus size women, like that's great. There's been a few that I can think of off the top of my head that have been really great international and national representatives. But I really want every system to be able to say they've had a plus size title holder in the next year. Like that would be so cool to have systems that can showcase so many different women and people across the world. Like pageantry is about being a person that's able to connect with so many different people around your community. And
Yeah.
what better way to connect than being like the people you are representing? So there's so many different body types in this world. Why not have a plus size pageant title holder for your international or national organization?
Or, just any size,
Hmm.
petite,
Yeah,
more athletic.
yeah.
It's I have this mantra, and I think you've heard me say it, is if you can't see her, you can't be her. And I get so frustrated when I've come across comments, thankfully not on my account, but I've seen it where you see more say a plus size woman entering a pageant and someone says, "Oh, you're glorifying obesity." And
Yes.
that just that just really
Uh-huh.
gets on my nerves. So what do you think when people make comments like that?
It's really hard for me not to comment back when I see things like that. Um, and I definitely have a few times, but I try not to, because those kind of people, like, honestly, won't take any other opinions. So I just try to remind myself of that. But I just, not every plus size woman is unhealthy, and
Mhm.
nor is every skinny person unhealthy either. I mean, there's different variations of every kind of person. So I think that people trying to break into the pageant industry that don't look like the everyday person are just trying to represent people that look like them and looked like them as a child, like I am. I That's my main goal in competing, is to show people that didn't feel like they looked like anyone in the spotlight, that they are important and they can do anything they set their mind to. So
Yeah.
that's honestly like my main goal in competing.
And I totally agree with you. I think about years ago when I was a professional performer and I felt this extreme pressure to be super, super tiny. And I had a eating disorder because of it. And if people were looking at those pictures, they think, well, she's thin, but they had no idea how unhealthy I really was. I wasn't eating right. So, I mean, I would take size 14 Melanie now way over size 3 Melanie because size 3 Melanie was constantly worried about what she ate. And for me,
Mhm.
that's no way to live.
Yeah, I definitely went through something similar like when I was in high school trying to like lose weight and eating like less than 1,300 calories a day, which is insane to me. And then I was also like a 3 or 4 sport athlete. So um
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's it's crazy to think about. Yeah.
and that's the thing. I'm really glad that more people are being honest
Hmm.
about what they've gone through with their body image and maybe some of the drastic things they've done to try to quote unquote keep an image, because I
Hmm.
think it helps to normalize what eating is supposed to be. I'm glad that you touched on that because I think the more we can show up and tell our truth about it, it helps to put a face on, eating disorders and struggles with body image.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I have really liked about your journey is how much you have been bringing art forward, and you've been, you're a teacher, and
Mhm.
so I want to let our listeners know about, what you do in your daily life and how the joy of art came to be.
Yeah. So the Joy of Art started as a pageant platform way back when I started pageantry. And I started it because I was like, oh, you have to have a platform when you start pageantry. And it just was something that I like promoted every now and then. And I did it. I started it because I wanted to help children in hospitals gain access to art supplies. And because I was working with Children's Miracle Network at the time. And I graduated and became a real K-4 art teacher. And I realized like so many of my kids would come into my room and be like, I don't have paper at home. I don't have crayons at
Mm.
home. Can I take these things home? And I can't say yes to every kid because obviously I don't have a budget to keep buying paper and crayons. But occasionally I would say, yeah, go ahead and take it because I knew that they wouldn't lie to me about not having paper or crayons at home. Um, and so I was like, I need to focus more on creating opportunities for kids around the world to have access to art. Um, and I went from having some different initiatives and I partnered with different organizations like the Korean Initiative and Color Smile, which are great organizations that I still really want to work with. But I went from that to creating my own art kits. And originally I had a drive where I asked people to send me supplies, and my first drive I received enough to make 50 art kits, which was crazy to me. And then I was like, I don't think I can actually sustain getting all these donations and art supplies, nor can I afford them as a teacher. Um, so I was like, I'm gonna have to apply for grants, but grants mean that you have to be a nonprofit, like a 501(c)(3) organization. So then I was like, I'm just gonna apply for a 501(c)(3) status. Um, like it just like that, like it's easy. It wasn't easy. I had to ask for help. And I almost paid for a lawyer and I'm didn't glad I didn't have to, thanks to help of people that I knew that had already done that for their platforms. But um, I applied for the status and it took a long, long time to write all the forms. Never thought I'd be writing legal forms in my life. Uh, but I was. And then I submitted it and I got approved in like the week or two after I came back from my last international pageant in Orlando. I got the approval letter in the mail. So since then, I've been making art kits. I've sent over 120 out to 20 states about now and 2 countries.
Wow.
Canada, I have a lot of Canada girls that love to help me, so I appreciate that. But that's been really great. And then also this past, I don't know, February, January, I decided I wanted to also have more in-person opportunities for students, especially on like the weekends and over the summer. So I decided I wanted to open a in-person art studio here in my hometown. So I'm grateful that there's already an arts and artist center here in town,
Mhm.
and they rent studio spaces to people that are wanting to help with the arts or are artists themselves. So I host little workshops in my own little studio space here in town. And I've already had two, and it's been
Amazing.
great. Yeah, and I've been able to offer scholarships like free and half price tuition for students that can't afford it. So it's been great.
Fabulous. Fabulous. See, and that's the thing is, I think a lot of people feel like, well, I'm just one person. What kind of impact can I really make? And you're an example of someone who actually is doing that. And my crown's off to you. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what do talking about art, and I'm someone who, I'm a creative person as well. What do you think can be done for schools who are maybe a little more scrapped for funds, trying to get more art into their schools? I mean, do you have any ideas on what can be done about that?
Well, I personally have definitely worked on the political side of things. I've done advocacy work in our state capitol for funding.
Mm,
Um, and I know that just like having your art teachers and students and things like that, people that are like definite stakeholders in the school and that love the arts, share with people as much as they can about what the arts have brought them. Truthfully, like what I say every time I get asked, like, like, do people say anything about how the arts aren't important to you? I always say the arts are everywhere.
mhm.
We wouldn't have buildings without the arts. We wouldn't have music. We wouldn't have TV shows, like nothing. Um, Everything is included in art, and art is everywhere. And I don't think that everyone realizes it. And the more
Yeah.
we share that, I think the more that people will start to maybe listen to us that are in charge and make sure that we have the funding that we need. I'm thankful that I work in a school district that all my parents really appreciate the arts, no matter whether it's music or art or drama or band. Like every parent appreciates it, and kids do too. So I'm really grateful for that.
I I couldn't agree with you more
Mhm.
about that. I mean, it's true, art is everywhere, and I know AI is a real popular thing right now, but there's something different when it's a person who's creating it. And as someone who is an artist like yourself, what do you say about the rise of AI and creativity?
I like AI, but it kind of stresses me out. Like it's nice for writing things and but I like can definitely tell like when something is made by AI when I see it and
Mhm.
like it's fun for like little like social media things and stuff like that, but it like makes me nervous. I'm like people don't could eventually get to the point where they don't pay artists for
Yeah.
anything because of AI. I guess that could be said of any profession, but it stresses me out.
Yeah, I mean, you make an excellent point, is that when something is
Mhm,
so easily available, people don't appreciate the time, the talent, the effort that it takes to create something.
mhm, mhm.
And I don't know about you, but when I see or read something that's AI generated, you can tell this is not a human that created this. It doesn't have
Yeah,
that quality to it. It's just not the same.
right. Yeah, you know that because you're a professor. So
I have to look
yeah,
out for it in
yeah.
particular.
I'm thankful I don't because I teach kindergarten through fourth grade, but yeah.
So, as a teacher, and you've had kids say, this is what sparked your own Joy of Art initiative is kids not having supplies at home. Um, what changes have you noticed in your own students when they are given that space to create art? Like, do you see anything with them emotionally or their behavior or their attention? Like, what have you seen?
Something I definitely pride myself on is like making my art space a space where people with especially behavior disorders and academic disorders feel like they're creating things that are amazing, even if they not might not always be amazing. It's amazing because they're trying, and I think that's something that sets the arts apart is that there's no right answer,
Hmm.
and that helps a lot of those kids that have those issues, because that's their biggest struggle is not being correct,
Yeah.
typically. And while I do every now and then still have behaviors in my classroom, I feel like there's so much fewer issues because they're able to do something that they find fun and doesn't have to be perfect, even though they want it to be sometimes. But they are able to create things that they find interesting and unique to them.
And I can definitely tell
Hmm.
a difference in kids who are engaged in some type of arts. I
Hmm.
taught voice and acting lessons to kids, and then for me, I saw as a way for them to express things in a healthy way and to really connect to who they are. And for me, that was a joy to watch, to see that process. And I honestly think that's why we need those programs in the schools, especially in schools that don't have a lot of counselors to help these
Yeah.
kids when they're having some big emotions going on.
Yeah. I mean, I can even tell the difference between kids that have done creative things at home before they come to school. Like when they come to kindergarten, I'm like, oh, yep, that kid's never drawn anything at home,
Mm,
which is really sad. But there's definitely always a handful every year that I'm like, they've never drawn anything truthfully at home. So they can't even hold a pencil, which is crazy to me. But yeah, just I'm looking forward to having like more sessions this summer in my studio and offering that for families as well. So hopefully that goes well.
I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for the students to come and, see that space and to enjoy themselves there. And I'm excited for all those people, and I'm just jealous that I can't be there to enjoy it with you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always ask my guests, because the name of our podcast is Fearless and Fabulous. So tell me about a fear that you've had to face, either coming through in pageantry or starting your platform, whatever it is. What's something that you've had to encounter and face?
Well, I would definitely say it would be like taking the jump to be like more real and myself on social media. Um, I mean, I got social media for the first time when I was in high school. It's maybe like middle school too. And like when you're that age, I feel like it's more about being perfect all the time. At least it
Mm,
was like for me. And so I had to like really work hard and not being perfect all the time on social media and just sharing more about like things that matter to me and things that are important to me, and being more myself because that's what people like to see more.
yeah.
And I didn't really realize that until I started doing that. But it takes a lot still sometimes for me to be like, I can actually share this stuff and I don't have to be nervous about it. And then taking my social media and um, taking a step back from teaching in public schools this next year. I'm excited because I'm actually leaving my public school job, and hopefully getting to do my studio job through my nonprofit. And then I also now have a new business that I'm starting, which is
Yes.
really scary because I wanted to work out. But I'm starting Winning Spark Branding, and I'm working to create logos and branding for people's platforms specifically. I want to be more in the pageant industry still because I love the pageant industry, and I love helping people grow their platforms. And so I think branding is like a major step in helping grow your platform. Um, because it's not recognizable if it doesn't have branding. So
Yeah.
we want it to be recognizable. And I will also be offering website design, because I actually designed my own website for my nonprofit and I loved doing it. It was really fun. And eventually offering custom painted clothing, and really offering things that really set apart a contestant and help brand them individually as a person in the pageant industry because there's so many things that people do in pageantry that is like very similar to each other, and I want pageant girls to stand out and be themselves, and I think that branding can really help people do that.
I did not know that you were going to leave your teaching job and go
Yeah.
all in on this.
I haven't announced that yet.
That is a huge thing to just confront that fear of jumping in and just going for it. That
Mhm.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love my kids and I love teaching art, but at the end of the day, like it's just so draining being a public teacher. And I am tired of being drained all the time and I want to do something that really makes me excited. So I'm obviously still excited to teach like my small groups and have more control over my life with that, but I'm really excited just to step back and be more creative in my life.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you, Queen. That takes so much guts, but I think people do best when they bet on themselves
Mhm.
instead of, being trapped in the worry of, well, what if this happens and what if that happens? I mean, there's no guarantees on anything. I mean, for crying out loud, you could find out that you lose your job tomorrow. So what would you do then? So
Yeah.
I think it's always good to, follow the thing that fills you, have those things in place where you can just jump in and say, hey, you know what? They don't need me. I've got something on the horizon. I'm just going to go for it. So bravo. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
I know, I'm really excited. I'm definitely grateful to Maria, our coach, because like her saying like you don't want to be there in 5 years in your life and you're like I'm so tired and I don't want to do this anymore and wish that you went back and did something that you really wanted to do. Um and just thinking about that like really helped me just do it, even though
Yeah.
I'm a little terrified, but it's fine. We'll get over it. But I've already had several women reach out. I launched my business literally like the beginning of this week. So I'm still waiting on some to hear back from some people, but I'm hoping to have several projects started soon. So I'm really excited about that.
Amazing. And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing is just if you're scared, just do it anyway.
Mhm.
Just do
Yeah.
it. And I think
That's
that's great advice for anyone who's watching and listening and wondering if I should go over after, go after this one thing or not. Just go. Just do
yeah.
it. Don't live in
That's
regret.
honestly like yeah, that's honestly been like my mantra the last few years is like what's really gonna happen if you do it and it doesn't work out. Like same with pageantry, same with doing anything like my nonprofit. Nothing like there's always a way to fix anything that you have an
Yeah.
issue with. So um just being able to take a risk is something that I've really learned a lot about in the last few years as well.
So on the flip side, what is something that makes you feel fabulous?
hmm I mean, pageantry is what makes me feel fabulous. Because it really gives me, not that I couldn't wake up at 5 a.m. if I wanted to and do my makeup, but I don't because I like to sleep. Um,
Same
but
here.
like, I don't ever do my makeup when I go to school because I, why? Why do I need to do that? When I already have to be at work at 7:30 in the morning. So, I love doing pageantry because it makes me like I like have an alter ego. It's like completely
Mm.
different person. People are like, when they see my posts on Facebook, they're like, "Wow, we didn't. You don't even look like yourself." And I'm like, "Thanks." Um, just like getting to do makeup, which is something I've also really loved doing my entire life because it's just another creative thing that I've just always been pretty good at. And dressing nice and looking cute, is one of my favorite parts as well. Like just getting to represent myself how I look
Yeah.
a little bit more elevated than I do in my everyday life.
It is the best feeling when you just
hmm
have your favorite outfits all there for you and being able to take your time painting your face.
hmm
I personally love to do my makeup too. I feel like I'm putting on my war paint and I'm ready to
hmm
face the day and that makes me
Yeah.
feel fabulous.
Or even like when I'm getting my hair and makeup done by like a professional. I was just like, that's like great. That.
Hmm. And by the way, everybody, she has painted her outfits and shoes at her pageant. And I will be linking your socials, Amber, but you
Mhm.
all need to go and look at her socials because the outfits that she brings to her pageants are just amazing. She puts that personal touch, paint shoes. You painted a jacket and pants, I
Mhm.
believe,
Yeah.
and just looked amazing. And by the way, reach out to her too if you need some branding as well, because I think you and I will probably have a chat about that too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm like really excited because I'm painting some more shoes for some other rim girls this next year. So for this next summer. So I'm one of them already got them, but like one of them's coming, but they're so cute. I'm really excited. I love like getting to paint and be more creative with my art stuff. So um I love graphic design, but I love being creative with physical art as well.
Wonderful. Well, this half hour just flew right by,
Yeah.
girl. It just goes so fast. That's what I love about this.
Mhm.
And I thank you so much for being a guest and that we finally were able to hook up and find some time together to chat and have you share, so much of what you're doing. You're impacting so many kids' lives and being such an amazing role model and showing up unapologetically as you are. And I thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you too. So
And thank you all for joining us here at the Fearless and Fabulous podcast. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow the socials of my guests, and we will see you again soon. Bye now.